Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast, and this is our little series on the elements of music, otherwise known as the sound of music.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.
Wow, okay, we're starting right off the bat. Well, this is the Inspired Action Podcast. This is episode 112. My name is Jay, and that was the sound of music was Lita, the co-host, Lita Herman.
I'm not sure that was the sound of music.
I know, I'm sure that was sound of something. I hear some dogs howling in the background. So we're going to get into some metal music today. We're going to get down a little dirty and maybe a little bit funky. Lita, what do you got over there?
Okay.
No pressure.
I mean, yeah. Okay, down and dirty. I just want to say,
just a little bit.
I love metal music, and it's not necessarily down and dirty. It's got a lot of variety. I may be fire, but I connect with metal music a lot. And I think because metals often sing about love lost, and that's definitely something metal and fire have in common. But for metal, love is not everything like it is for fire.
I know. I was thinking, I was listening to some music, what we're going to talk about today, and the lyrics from this amazing song. I'm not even going to try to sing it because I cannot sing metal, okay?
Don't make me sad, don't make me cry. Sometimes love is not enough and the road gets tough, I don't know why.
So that was one of the new queens of our metal vibe.
Yes, Lana Del Rey she's just amazing. And this song basically is the anthem for metal.
I think you have to say it like Lana Del Rey.
Lana Del Rey.
Not Lana Del Rey. Woohoo! No, Lana Del Rey.
And even though metal music is kind of down and, she's talking about don't make me cry, you'd think that it would be about crying, but metals actually don't like to cry. But they do sing really mellow music and they move energetically downward all the time. So that music is lyrical, but the energy of it moves downward. And the lyrics are perfect in her song because metals are also keenly aware that we're all born to die. It's like they always have one foot in the grave. And we often joke that they like to hang out in graveyards or cemeteries and, meet their friends there for a little lunch in the cemetery.
Well, I'm pretty certain that Lana Del Rey is not on the happy songs of summer list.
No.
If you love her music, not on the happy songs.
Yes.
But she's one of my favorites, and I also love metal music.
And the reason they like to hang out in graveyards or cemeteries, and again, not every metal person does that, but many love it. And it's because there they feel somehow closer to the veil that separates life and death in one way or another.
Sure. And some interesting little tidbit that I'll just throw out because sometimes I do that. They also like to volunteer for maybe hospice and maybe even help eventually people die. That kind of.
Yeah, a lot of metals like to do that kind of work. Hospice, palliative care.
Yes.
They like to be involved in that.
Yeah, that's that veil that separates us. I like the way you say that. But that's only one aspect of metal music, right? There's the funky, get down, and boogie music.
Boogie music.
I don't say that lightly.
For sure. I love metal music because in a way it's more about that funky dance groove than a lot of the other elements.
And we kind of joke sometimes that it's the music of the dirty dancing because it does come with a lot of deep knee bends and some, you literally have to get down to get groovy, and we know metal descends downwardly.
Yeah, it's the rhythm of the bass that really drives that metal funky feel. So whenever you're listening to music with a heavy bass line, you might be hearing metal music.
But wait, before we go any further on the metal, let's take 1 minute or less and talk a little bit about what's going on during the podcast and in our site Alchemy Learning Center, where you can get all the information on stuff that we talk about in the podcast.
Good idea. We're launching a new apprenticeship group this fall. And if you're a longtime fan, you can join as a practitioner. Plus, we have a virtual component now for self-cultivators, and that means our podcast listeners who really maybe they want to take their alchemy to a whole new level. So if you're out there listening right now, you might want to check it out. You can go to alchemylearningcenter.com.
And we are just about to start that group. So if you're listening and you're curious and it's October, November of 2023, you can still apply. And then we'll just have a little chatty chat with you and see if we are a match, if everything's in the right place. And then you could maybe join that group. But also, there's a lot of things. We have some live learning workshops coming up in November. We have them all the time, but we have a new series of those starting. And that's what we're calling them, live learning events. What else, Leah?
In addition to the live learning events, you can go to the events section on the Alchemy Learning Center and see that there's quite a number of things that we're doing in the future.
Yes, and we also have virtual learning experiences. We won't have to call them events because they've already happened. So, but they're experiences. And then Lita's going to be on a couple podcasts coming up. And, we just got lots of stuff going on. So we will have it all listed out in the ALC.com.
Yes.
And as always, if you please could if you like this podcast at all, even for like a second, you could just take a second and rate and review wherever you listen to your podcast. But we love it if it's Apple, but it doesn't have to be. It could be wherever you listen. Rate and review, just a quick little thumbs up or 5 stars or 4 stars or I don't know, whatever stars you want to do. Just write it in the stars. And then also we have our book Through the Mystery Gate, which you can listen to on Audible or buy it anywhere you buy books.
Yes. And I just want to say thank you so much for those of you who have listened to the call for reviews.
We've gotten, please, keep coming.
And our podcast listenership is growing rapidly right now. And
all over the world.
We really want to thank all you listeners in Australia.
So those rates and reviews do help.
Yeah, our podcast is really climbing in the charts. So we just want to thank all of you for doing that extra special effort of rating and reviewing the podcast. It really helps.
It really helps. And we are just thrilled that we get amazing emails every day. So we'll just really, really keep that coming. And also, if you ever want to do your videos for your walks, we can send them in too. So all that's in the ALC. And check it out. So let's get back to metal. We good on that?
Yes, we're good.
We're good?
So metal music is best characterized by its syncopated bass lines, polyrhythms, and the minor key. So when metal music isn't getting down and funky, then it's usually evoking feelings of nostalgia, wistfulness, and being forlorn. And that's what the minor key does in music. It actually makes you feel forlorn.
So that's either funky or forlorn?
Yes.
Funky or forlorn. That's hard to say. You tried at home. Okay, so that is interesting because we often say that metal is about connection and loss. So either you're feeling connected and having fun, maybe dancing funky, or busting a move. We're going to go into that later. Or disconnected and want to express it musically, which actually can be through a sense of being forlorn, the F word, another way to use the F word. Maybe through punk rock or metal rock or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. Heavy metal, punk rock. Yeah. Those are all those like F-it attitudes that can come in metal music. So if you're feeling the loss, maybe you're singing the blues, literally. Yeah, and the blues are definitely mostly metal music. And yes, we're going to talk also about that punk rock, heavy metal thing as well as another way to express the blues, basically.
Yeah, and so that's mostly, we studied about the 5 elements. We can't say anything is absolute. Nothing is absolute. Everything is moving vibrationally, so it's not like 100% everything. So keep that in mind. You could be listening to music, like we're going to talk about some of the artists, and they may be water, and then they have metal. They might be metal, they have water. So all these influences are just coming through all the time. So we know that the blues are mostly metal and can be super chill. But, drumroll, metal's not always mellow.
Yeah. There's the wild, mosh pits of punk rock. There's the whole black leather, black eyeliner, gothic music scene, and the head-banging frenzy of heavy metal. They all fit into this metal category. I mean, it's right there in the name, heavy metal. So let's see if we can go deeper and explain this incredible range of metal music.
Okay, that's great. But I'm not going to bang my head or punch a wall or anything like that because, that's what heavy metals do. But I do know people who love their metal music, so I'm, props out to that. But I am not going to bang my head right now.
Okay. So anyway, so here it is. Metal has this interesting duality that's always present. these two modes that metal swings between. It's related to the idea of connection and loss, as Jay said just earlier. On the one hand, you've got the rule-following, law-abiding, goody-two-shoes mode. That's the connection part. And then when metal's in the loss mode, it's like a screw-it attitude takes over. And that's when metals get rebellious. And that's the essence of the punk and heavy metal music. It's like they're just throwing caution to the wind. They're saying screw society's norms and giving a big middle finger to it all. And believe it or not, that's part of metal just as much as the goody two-shoes part.
So it's the two modes. Again, do-gooder versus sex, drugs, and rock and roll, head banging, all that stuff, fingers flying, everything. They're just rebels. So two modes, right? We're going to talk about that even more.
Right. So for the sex, drugs, and rock and roll side, you can add some other genres in like hip hop, funk, 60s soul music, mellow jazz. All of these have been about being cool and a bit rebellious. But on the goody two-shoes side, you have folk, which is a lot of it is sweet and really not very edgy, like, listening to the queen of folk, Joni Mitchell, who's uber metal.
Yeah, well, a sad metal song can really show up in any genre of music, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so absolutely. A lot of modern music, like pop music, some of it has heavy metal tones, not heavy metal, but a lot of metal overtones like Lana Del Rey.
Oh, Lord. Really like her.
Yeah. So obviously Born to Die isn't much of a dance song, but it has a nice groove to it.
Super nice groove.
Yeah. And so you won't find yourself, like busting a move, like you said, with Joni Mitchell.
Oh, no.
Or,
did you say bust a move?
Girl runs up with something to prove, so don't just stand there, bust a move. Just bust a move.
So I think we should bring that term back. More dancing, more busting of moves. Just don't pull a muscle or anything, because that could happen.
So that's definitely a Funky Fire song.
We need to add that to our fire music list.
Yes. And, it's a little metal funky in there. And, the thing about metal is a lot of them, they'd rather be chilling out on the couch than dancing on the dance floor. It takes kind of a special kind of music to get those metals out on the dance floor.
They're probably on the couch with their big clunky headphones because they're audiophiles listening to exactly the perfect music. And maybe they might be slightly imbued either one way or another. So they're on the couch listening and enjoying. And maybe if they're out in public, they might dance if they're a little imbued.
Imbued. Okay.
Is that the right word?
I'm not sure about that. They're imbibing.
Imbibing. Probably imbibing.
Yeah, imbibing.
Drinking, smoking, whatever they do. In a nice way. I'm not saying anything bad, but that's how.
But the music has to also be good for them. Like they need that deep knee bending, funk.
Yeah, and the weed and the alcohol doesn't help, right?
Yes.
Just saying. Do not send me bad emails about metal partying, but they love to party.
Well, that's why we call it dirty dancing.
A little bit of dirty dancing.
Yeah, not just because you might be high doing it, but it's because of the deep knee bending.
And maybe some hip grinding, a sense of things going downward.
Yes. So let's explain why that is. Metal, has this interesting twist to it. The organs associated with metal in Chinese medicine are the lungs and the colon. And so the lungs are in the upper part of the body and they represent connection. And the colon is in the lower part of the body. And guess what they represent, Jay?
Something different.
Yes, right. Loss. So you've got these lungs up in your chest, and it's all about bringing in the vitality that you get from breathing, from air. And it's all about making a cosmic connection with the universe. So all those folk songs and even the funk dance music, it's all about connection. And that's their job, the lungs, to hook you up with oxygen and get it flowing through your body. But that other organ, the colon, it's got a really different job. It's about letting go, sifting through what you're going to get rid of. And maybe you don't want to get rid of everything that's eliminated. So also the colon's trying to hang on to anything that's still valuable. But that's part of loss. And that's metal's letting go function. So when you're dancing, your lungs are pumping away. They're keeping that connection alive. But that colon is moving you in that downward energy, making those knees bend, and that's symbolizing, so to speak, if it's too much of a stretch for you guys, but let me just go with it. It's about symbolizing that downward loss.
Yeah, that's a nice way to describe the colon. I'm just going to say it's a nice way because we know what the colon does. It's not pretty, but we need it, right? So that's the groovier side of metal where it's almost a sensual but cool moving and maybe even a little grinding of the hips in a very,
I like that you said cool because metal really is the coolest
Yeah, they dance really
element.
cool. Yes.
And so they
Unlike
dance
wood,
cool.
who does not dance cool.
Yeah, right. So metal music, also has those descending melodies. They bring gravity or gravitas and even like a touch of vulnerability to the music.
But don't touch if not warranted. Like ask first before you touch.
Okay. It's emotional, but
We're talking about that hip grinding.
Yeah, the grinding thing. You got to be careful on the dance floor with that. Yeah. It has to be appropriate and you need permission. Okay.
Yes.
So it's
Listen up, kiddies.
Listen up, kiddies. All right. It's emotional, but not the over-the-top melodrama that you get from the fire element. Even if it's, diving into that topic of lost love, it's still got that wistful, less theatrical feel to it.
Yeah, generally not. It's not as dramatic unless you've got that pumped up energy of punk or heavy metal. Then it could be a little bit more like dramatic.
Yeah, and if you look at punk rock or heavy metal, they're all about being, really messed up, like feeling messed up, like why do I keep effing up kind of.
Right. Well, that's the Neil Young classic metal song, Why Do I Keep Effing Up? Perfect timing, right?
Yes.
It's like the anthem of metal music.
In a swinging door. Why do I keep
The truth is, all of us F up. All of us, all the time, we're effing up. And yet, we just don't talk about
Or
it.
sing about it.
Or the way metals do.
They love to sing about it, apparently, if you like metal music. So it's the loss, which we're going to talk about in a minute. It's different than the win-win.
Yes. I like to call it the lose-lose.
Or
actually.
the win-learn, which I've been saying a lot lately.
Win-learn. Yeah, I love that.
Right, that's right. The win-learn. That's another whole podcast. But all right, let's talk about some famous metal singers. And, there's just so many amazing people on this list.
Yeah. So let's talk about the women first. We've got Amy Winehouse, Stevie Nicks, Cher, Mazzy Star, Joni Mitchell, Sade, Loretta Lynn, Lucinda Williams, Ella Fitzgerald, and then we mentioned Lana Del Rey.
Okay, I'm just going to say, not the happy party girls that you would put on a fire list, right? Definitely not. I could see all of them and they just have this whole different vibe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
imagine you invite Lorde to your party. What's it gonna be like?
It'll be fun, but different kind of fun, right?
Yeah, you'll be cool and kind of chilling a little
Just
bit.
first of all, she would never come to our party, like ever. She'd be like,
What
no.
are we thinking? No. Okay, got it.
None of these people would come to one of our parties. They'd be like, no, I have a dentist appointment, like every night this week.
Yes, I get
They
that.
would not come. All right. So the men: John Lennon, Sting, David Bowie, Prince, Tom Petty, Neil Young, Bob Weir, Darius Rucker, and your favorite, the king of metal, Leonard Cohen.
Yes, in fact, one of my absolute favorite songs of his is Back on Boogie Street, and those lyrics really hit home.
Kiss my lips, kiss my lips, and then it's done. Then it's done, and I'm back on Boogie Street.
You kissed my lips, and then you're gone, and I'm back on Boogie Street. And
You
it's
sing that so happy. He does not sing it that happy.
well, that's true, but it nails it.
Yeah, that's great lyrics. So again, we call that the lose-lose, which is basically the opposite of the Woods win-win approach. Wood is all about scoring that victory, while metal is all about recognizing the ways we may face that loss. So the truth is, life's a mix of winning and losing simultaneously all the time, and that is metal's jam. It's all about how you see it, and metal's got its eyes on the loss, lose. That's metal's job.
Yeah. Think of it like the trees shedding their leaves in autumn. That's the metal season. It's like waving goodbye to those sunny summer days.
Goodbye, friends. We may or may not see you again. Maybe, but I'm going to sing about it right now.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be fair, Lita, to say that a lot of the music for metal, and all of them, but mostly metal, like Leonard Cohen, it's kind of like he's poetic. He's like a poet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could go down that whole rabbit hole of all the poetry of each element, but what about this, the rabbit hole of the metal poetry, like wham, wham, wham.
It's a very good point. It's not only beautiful music, but it can be really deep. Even the heavy metal lyrics sometimes are just super deep, like, The Cult or something like that.
You can't understand them, so you don't even know what they're saying.
Exactly. But look them up.
I mean, I've listened to the songs and I don't even know what they're like. Yeah. But I love that, it's the driving power of the music.
Yeah. Well, you should listen. Sometimes they're really interesting. Like for our Canadian listeners, one of my favorite metal bands, as an example of amazing lyrics set to those driving rock songs, would be the band Tragically Hip, or I guess they were just known as the Hip.
Okay, so we're going to move from that on to just a little reminder that, like with all music and all the elements, it can all be woven in together. So metal tunes can have, or metal music can have a little bit of other elements, and they do. So not just, it's not all 100% metal. They have it all mixed in with each other.
Good point. So if you have a metal song that's talking about a lot of like lost love, it might be carrying a touch of the Fire vibe in it. Or it could even have some uplifting moments despite its overall descending melody in the minor key. And so that would definitely be Fire secondarily.
Yeah, we were listening to a song just for this, by the way. I don't listen to Dire Straits, but it was called Romeo and Juliet. And it's like the ultimate metal fire combo kind of song. It's got a touch of wistfulness and the whole longing for love things going on. And again, it's really old, but you can go dig it up and clear out the cobwebs and listen to it. But it does have a beat, it's got a beat, it's got a bit of an uplift, and it's not all downward. So it's that mix of metal and fire spark.
Yes. So now if the song's got that strong punch and driving downbeat, we might be talking metal wood.
Yes, and if there's a touch of sweetness in the mix, like a slow, smooth jam, and we actually use that word jam, then it's a telltale sign it's earth.
Yes. And if the song's bursting with energy, you're looking at a good chance that it's metal water, and punk rock falls right into that metal water category. While, the heavy metal rock is more likely to be in the metal wood zone with those heavier downbeats.
Yeah. So, we're working through all the elements here, and you're getting to understand them a little bit better and how varied the music and the singers and the producers, they're all kind of mixed together there. So here's your challenge. If your homework, go turn on your Divine DJ and listen to what comes up. And please be careful if the Tragically Broken Hip comes up, because it could be dangerous. And then you got to get a walker, and then you can't dance. I'm just saying, be careful when you shuffle. Literally, when you shuffle your Spotify.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Don't break a hip or you will be shuffling.
Right.
Okay. So, all right.
On that note, it's a good time to end.
I think it is a good time to end.
So concentrate on your music. Take a long drive in the country, open highway. Put your earbuds in and walk through the graveyard and dig your metal music as the seasons slowly melt into another one.
It's the perfect time of the year. It's
Yes.
fall. So.
Or just go lay on the couch and put your headphones on and tell the world.
Yeah. Oh,
Oop, can't say that. In a nice way. In your metal way.
Or watch all the leaves outside and listen to Joni Mitchell.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
Enjoy.
That's it. Goodbye. Bye. You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there. We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at Lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or Jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog. Just fuss to move. Dun, 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 dun.